Let's first kick things off with the chicken bouillon. It's made using real chicken boiled down into a rich broth, concentrated like crazy, then turned into a powder using high-tech dryers that blast hot air at lightning speed. Some factories even use nitrogen gas just to keep it fresh. It sounds wild for something we casually throw into a pot, right? But how does this whole process actually work, from raw chicken to shelf-ready powder? Let's all break it down here at the Process World.
Knorr selects chicken bouillon. Made with natural chicken stock.
The journey to making chicken bouillon powder starts with the actual chicken. Not flavor chemicals or artificial blends, real chicken meat, bones, and skin. These parts are chosen because they hold the most flavor. But the chicken isn't the only star in this mix. Vegetables like onions, garlic, and celery are brought in too. They add depth and balance. Then there are the seasonings, salt for a little taste, a bit of sugar for smoothness, and flavor enhancers like monosodium glutamate, which boost the overall taste. Some blends also include dry herbs or spices, depending on the brand and recipe. Once the chicken and vegetables are all set, the real cooking begins. Large stainless steel tanks are filled with water, and in go the chicken parts along with the veggies and spices. The goal here is simple: pull out every bit of flavor from those ingredients. The tanks heat up slowly and the mix is simmered for several hours. During this time, the bones release gelatin, which meat gives off its natural juices, and the vegetables blend in with their own unique taste. To keep the broth clean and smooth, the surface is constantly skimmed to remove any foam or impurities that rise up. This helps maintain the clarity and quality of the liquid. Temperature and timing are watched closely by factory workers and automated systems. By the end of this stage, what's left is a rich golden broth, thick with flavor and ready for the next step. This is where the concentration comes in. The broth is moved into special machines that slowly remove the water content. These machines use heat and sometimes even vacuum systems to speed up the process without damaging the taste. As the water goes down, the flavor gets thicker and more intense. The broth starts turning into a real dense liquid that holds all the goodness from the chicken, vegetables, and spices. This stage is key because it's all about locking in the taste. The less water there is, the more powerful the flavor becomes. Throughout the process, temperature is carefully controlled to make sure that nothing burns or nothing loses its natural qualities. Workers monitor every part of the system, making sure that the texture stays just right. Once the concentrated broth is ready, it moves on to the blending stage. This is where the liquid meets the dry ingredients to build the final flavor profile. Large mixing tanks are used to combine the thick chicken essence with carefully measured powders like salt, sugar, garlic, onion, and other seasonings. These powders are chosen to keep the brand's recipe and keep the taste balanced. Flavor enhancers like MSG are also added at this point. They help boost the natural flavors and help make the powder taste more complete. Some recipes may include dried vegetable powders or spices, depending on the regional flavor or production variation. Everything is mixed slowly and thoroughly to make sure that the taste stays consistent across every batch. The machines running this process are designed to blend without creating clumps or uneven spots. This step is all about balance, getting the right mix of saltiness, flavorness, and that deep chicken taste. Once the ingredients are fully blended, the mixture is ready for drying. This step is handled through a process called spray drying. The mixture is pumped into a large chamber, where it's sprayed through tiny nozzles. As it comes out, it meets hot air moving through the chamber. The heat quickly evaporates the moisture, leaving behind fine, dry particles. The drying happens almost instantly. Because the droplets are small and the temperature is carefully controlled, the flavor stays locked in. The powder that drops down is light, dry, and full of rich chicken taste. Spray drying is a common method in food factories because it works fast and keeps the quality high. In some factories, drum drying may be used instead. This method involves spreading the mixture onto the surface of heated drums. As the drums turn, the heat dries the mix into a thin layer. Scrapers then remove the dried sheet, which is later ground into powder. Whether it's spray drying or drum drying, the goal stays the same: remove the moisture without losing the flavor. Once the powder is collected, it's sent through sifters to remove any large bits, making sure that it's smooth and even. Machines at this stage crush the material into a fine, even powder that's easier to measure, mix, and dissolve when cooking. After grinding, the powder passes through a series of sieves. These screens catch any leftover clumps or uneven bits, making sure that the final product is smooth and consistent. This step also helps keep the powder from clumping up later, which is important for storage and packaging. Factories take this step seriously because if the powder isn't fine enough, it won't blend properly with food or dissolve evenly in water. So the machines are adjusted to get the exact texture needed. Now that the bouillon powder is fully refined, the focus shifts to keeping it fresh and ready for use. This happens through a careful packaging process. The powder moves through an automated machine that measures out exact amounts for each packet or container. These machines work quickly, filling hundreds of units in just a few minutes. To protect the powder from moisture and air, the packaging is made using strong sealed materials like laminated foil or thick plastic. Some factories even flush the inside of the packages with nitrogen gas. This helps remove oxygen, which can cause the powder to lose flavor or spoil over time. Once sealed, each package goes through labeling. Then before leaving the factory, all packages are inspected to make sure that the seals are tight and nothing is leaking. Even small issues can affect shelf life, so the quality checks are strict. Once cleared, the finished products are boxed and stored, ready to be shipped out. From here, they begin their final leg of the journey to grocery stores, restaurants, and homes around the world. Now, if that fascinated you, wait till you hear how a simple mix of soybeans, wheat, salt, and water turns into a dark, flavorful liquid found in kitchens around the world. Yes, the soy sauce. It might look basic, but the process behind it is surprisingly complex, blending ancient traditions, live mold cultures, and months of fermentation inside giant factory tanks. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. To start making soy sauce, factories begin with just 4 main ingredients: soybeans, wheat, salt, and water. These may sound simple, but each one plays a key role in building the final flavor. Once the ingredients are ready, it's time for preparation. The soybeans are carefully cleaned and soaked in water. This helps them soften and swell before cooking. After soaking, they're steamed until fully cooked. Meanwhile, the wheat goes through its own process, roasting for flavor, then crushing it into smaller pieces. After both are prepared, they're cooled down and brought together. Once the soybeans and wheat are ready, it's time to introduce a key part of the process: Koji. This is where things start to shift from basic ingredients to something way more flavorful. Koji is created by adding a specific type of mold called Aspergillus oryzae to the mixture of cooked soybeans and roasted wheat. In factories, this mix is spread out in large trays inside climate-controlled rooms. Temperature and humidity are carefully adjusted to help the mold grow just right. Over the next 2 to 3 days, the mold begins to break down the proteins in the soybeans and the starch in the wheat. This step is important because it sets everything up that follows. The enzymes created during this stage are responsible for producing the umami taste that soy sauce is known for. Workers monitor the process closely to make sure that the mold spreads evenly and doesn't get too warm or too cold. It's a delicate balance, and it takes years of experience to get it consistently right. When the koji is finally developed, the grains look a bit fluffy and smell slightly sweet and earthy. That's the signal that it's time to move on to the fermentation stage. This is where the flavor foundation is truly built. At this stage, the koji is mixed with a saltwater solution to form what's called morami. This thick, chunky paste is poured into massive fermentation tanks where the real transformation begins. Inside those tanks, natural microbes go to work. Lactic acid bacteria and yeast start growing in the salty environment. Over time, they help break down the proteins and starches even further, unlocking deep flavors and that rich, dark color that soy sauce is known for. Factories let this process run for several months, and in some cases even longer. The longer the fermentation, the more complex the flavor. Throughout this period, the morami is regularly stirred and monitored. The temperature is controlled, and samples are taken to check how the fermentation is progressing. This stage can't be rushed. The microbes need to do their job naturally. By the end of the fermentation, the morami is thick, aromatic, and full of flavor. It's no longer just a mix of ingredients. It's now the base of real soy sauce, ready to be pressed and refined. In factories, the morami is scooped into large cloth-lined frames and stacked layer by layer. Then, using slow and steady pressure, the rich, dark soy sauce begins to flow out. The pressing takes time, and that's on purpose. A gentle squeeze helps extract the sauce without pulling out too many solids. What comes out is raw soy sauce, full of flavor but still needing a few more steps before it's ready for bottles. The leftover solids, called soy sauce cake, don't go to waste. They're often used as animal feed or turned into fertilizer. Everything in the process is used wisely. This stage marks a big shift. The sauce is no longer trapped in paste. It's now a smooth, flavorful liquid, full of deep taste that's been slowly building for months. From here it moves on to pasteurization and final preparation. First comes pasteurization. The sauce is gently heated to remove any unwanted bacteria and also to stop the fermentation. This step also helps deepen the color and lock in the aroma that developed over time. Once pasteurized, the soy sauce is allowed to rest so that any tiny particles can settle. Then it goes through a filtration process to make it clear and smooth. This is where the sauce starts to look clean and polished, just like the ones that are seen in bottles at the store. At this point, the transformation is complete. From basic ingredients into a rich, flavorful liquid, everything has come together and the soy sauce is now ready to head to the bottling line. In factories, this step is carefully automated to keep things clean, fast, and accurate. Machines fill bottles or pouches with precise amounts, making sure that each one is consistent. Once filled, the containers are sealed tight to keep the soy sauce fresh and safe from air or moisture. Different sealing methods are used depending on the packaging. Some use screw caps, others use heat seals or foil layers for extra protection. After sealing, the bottles go through labeling machines. These add the brand name, ingredients, expiration date, and everything else the customer needs to know. From there, the soy sauce is packed into boxes and stacked for shipping. Everything in this stage is carefully checked. Sensors make sure that the right amount goes into each bottle, and quality control teams check for leaks, mislabels, or anything that doesn't meet the standard. Once packed, the soy sauce is ready to be sent across the world, from factory floors to home kitchens, where it becomes part of everyday cooking. Now that you've seen how both chicken bouillon and soy sauce are made, if you could create your own instant flavor powder or sauce, what would it be? And what would you call it? Share your thoughts in the comments section below.